Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Naren Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you'll have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. Hey vet rehabbers, today we're chatting with Naren Arulrajah, CEO and founder of Equa Marketing and host of the Veterinary Business Podcast. We dive into the world of marketing your vet rehab practice and the importance of having a strong online presence. We discuss the strategies for collecting reviews, the best ways to encourage clients to leave them, and how to handle the occasional negative review with professionalism and grace. Now, if you are not a member already of our amazing online communities of vet rehabbers, we gather all over the world in these Facebook groups. And if you haven't joined yet, you can head over to Facebook and request to be a part of the action. Our groups include small animal vet rehabbers, equine vet rehabbers, hydro vet rehabbers, and our business vet rehabbers. Those are for the ones that are juggling patient care and running your own practice. Now, we regularly share tips, advice, and host live sessions with experts to support you on your vet rehab journey. A quick word from our sponsor. Nada first developed her courses at the Colorado State University, where she started the Medical Acupuncture for Veterinarian Certificate program in 1998. In so doing, Dr. Robinson developed a science-based platform for veterinary acupuncture, the first of its kind. Today, CuraCorVet offers a comprehensive curriculum in integrative medicine with a rational, evidence-supported foundation. Courses include medical acupuncture, photomedicine, botanical medicine, medical massage, and integrative rehabilitation. You can discover CuraCorVet at curacor.org. I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. Over to my chat with Naren. Hey Naren, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Dr. Kelly. I'm so glad to be here. Of course, I'm starting to get to know you, and you are somebody who's just such a gift to the profession because you're very creative and innovative, and you do things that's typically not done. So thank you for having me today.
Oh, thanks, Naren. I'm excited to chat to you about this. So for the listeners, we're going to be chatting today about building a strong online reputation. Before we head into that, Naren, won't you just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm a serial entrepreneur, but also I was forced to be an entrepreneur. I got fired 4 times in a row. My background is in computer science, so I have a degree in computer science, and I got into marketing by accident. After getting fired 4 times in a row, I stumbled on to doing marketing for doctors, specifically search engine optimization. So that goes back to 2007. So today we are celebrating our 17th year. We are a 260-person team, and we work with private practice owners, veterinarians, dermatologists, dentists, those types of practices, owned by one person, one location, maybe 2, but we don't work with large DSOs. So we carved out a niche, and that's what I do now. So I'm pretty happy with where things are. We are continuing to grow. But I guess I love marketing. I love entrepreneurship. So that's a bit about myself.
And you also have your own podcast.
Yes, I do have my own podcast. It's called the Veterinary Business Institute. And the way we do it is we have other co-hosts as well. So it's not just me. We have several other co-hosts. And the idea is to help those in the business of veterinary medicine learn about the things that they don't necessarily learn from school. So whether it's marketing, whether it's HR, hiring, firing, leadership, culture, all kinds of topics that you need to master as a business owner, kind of giving you that perspective from expert, with the help of experts, with the help of other practice owners, people who have been there, done that, made mistakes, and learned from those mistakes. So I enjoy the podcast because I learn a ton talking to awesome veterinarians who ended up growing as business owners, plus those who have been in the space and helped a lot of veterinary practices. So it's a blast. It's once a week. You can go to veterinarybusinessinstitute.com and listen to it. So if you are in the business of veterinary medicine, I think it's a great podcast.
I think also really relevant to our listeners who are vet rehab therapists. So a lot of the things that you share there, are definitely relevant to the vet rehab therapists out there. So if you're interested in that, we'll also put the link in the description notes. So if you guys would like to listen to that podcast. Before we start with our conversation, I think it's maybe an idea just to define exactly what online reputation means.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Online reputation is how people decide whether to take their pet to you or somebody else. And in the old days, information was not in our fingertips. I'm talking, pre-Google, pre-1998, so 25 years ago. So in those days, you would call the local association and try to, hey, I'm thinking of taking my pet to this particular doctor. What do you think? And maybe somebody will have an answer, maybe not. And usually the only type of input they have is if somebody really does something really wrong and they're red flagged or something, then of course these associations will say, okay, maybe not, something like that. But so in the old days, people didn't have a way to know if somebody is good or not. So what we did is we relied a lot on referrals, word of mouth, right? We would go to somebody that a friend had some experience with and was raving about. But as we all know, one person's opinion is still one person's opinion. Maybe they were the particular doctor's cousin or an uncle, and they were taken care of well. But perhaps the doctor was great, but maybe the team is not that great, right? So what has happened over the last 25 years is now we don't ask our friends for referrals. Instead, we use Google to find the right solution for any problem, whether it's finding a meal to eat or a veterinary rehab center to take our pet to because we really are in some kind of a serious situation with our pet and we want to do something about it. So as part of the research, the last step that 95% of the people take today is they want to read your reviews. They'll type your business name. So they first get to know you through their research. And then finally, they'll type your business name and type the word reviews or just the business name. And usually your Google My Business page shows up. Google My Business page is like, I'm sure many of you know the Google Maps product. That's on the iPhone and Android phone or even on the computer, right? Anytime you start looking for reviews, that's what shows up. Like a map shows up with all the businesses, related businesses, and Google will say how many stars. So it'll be like 4.7. That means out of a maximum score of 5, you're getting 4.7. It'll also mention how many reviews you have, 178. And then people can click on that link and then dig deeper. They can read some of the recent reviews. They can read the best reviews. They can just sort different things and read reviews. In the old days, doing reference checks on a veterinary practice or a veterinary therapist was not easy, but now it can happen in seconds. So people are so used to it. So it doesn't matter whether they are picking a restaurant or picking a rehab therapist, they're using Google to decide if to come to you or not. So as a business owner, the good news is it doesn't cost you anything. As long as you do a good job and you encourage your clients to go and write wonderful reviews for you, it costs you nothing except your time in making all that happen. The bad news is if you don't do it, you're going to be left behind because nobody today, like I said, 95% of the people today will not choose you if you don't have a large number of reviews compared to your peers. And many of them are like 4.5, 5-star reviews. And ideally, some of them are paragraph reviews. So they literally like write a love letter as to why they appreciate you and how you made such a difference in the life of their pet. And those are called love letter or paragraph reviews.
Yeah, and that's why this conversation is so important. Because like you say, if you're not doing it and you just don't have the reviews, it doesn't necessarily mean that your clients don't love you and you've got great service. It's just that the perception is when somebody goes there and you've got no reviews and your competitor down the road or in the next town has got all these reviews, their instinct reaction is, well, I'm going to go with the one with all the reviews.
Yeah, I'll tell you a recent story. One of my very good friends and his veterinarian, something happened and, he no longer was practicing. So he was looking for a new veterinarian. What does he do? He starts researching on Google. And then how did he pick the doctor to take the pet to is reviews. I mean, bottom line, this one particular practice stood out. They had the most reviews and every week they were getting a ton of new reviews and, and 4.5 stars and stuff. And this is the CEO of a company. So very sophisticated, he knows marketing, he understands all this, but he definitely believed in those reviews. And then once he went there, he joked and he said, they're so good at collecting reviews, because by the time I was done, they were asking me to write a review. So they have a system in place to get those dozens and dozens and dozens of reviews, right? So obviously, by the time he had already picked the practice, he has gone there and he had a great experience. So he didn't mind the fact that they had a process in place. He actually appreciated it. Like, they are really organized about it. And you are right on the money. It's like, the ones who have great reviews doesn't mean they're better than you. It just means they know how to get reviews.
Yeah. I've seen these really cool things. I actually saw one the other day when I was at my hairdresser. It's like a little wooden card, and it's got a QR code on it. And
Yes.
they actually put it into a really cute little frame, and they put it up on the desk. So it looked like a little picture. And then you
Yeah.
just put your phone up to it, scan it, and you can review right there. And it says, oh, yeah, please be so kind as to leave us a review. And I think that's what it is. It's about making it easy for people to leave reviews, because I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not the type of person that if you like tell me, please go send me a review, like I'm going to get home and I've got the time now to remember to sit down and do the review. But if I can do it right then and there, and I did it, I just scanned the thing, quickly said a sentence. I mean, it wasn't a big love letter, but it was a sentence, gave them the 5 stars, and it was done. So these are the things that, yeah, we gotta encourage you guys to do. I love those little cards. Have you seen them?
Yeah, I love it. Actually, it's a QR code. And I think I'll even go a step further as to what you said. You are right on the money. 99% of the people, when they go home, they're not going to write a nice review for you, because you are no longer the hero of their movie, right? Like, I mean, when they're in your office, you are the hero of their story. Like, you are like the important person. So when they feel that sense of gratitude because whatever you did, that's the time they're going to write the review. And Dr. Robert Cialdini, who's a godfather of influence, like, in other words, how do you get people to do what you want them to do, said that moment of influence is very short. And the key is, how do you create that moment of influence and how do you take advantage of it? When I go home, that moment is no longer there, because I need to worry about my work tomorrow. I need to worry about my daughter who hasn't eaten yet, or 3 other projects that's going on my house that I need to think about and do shopping for, etc., etc. So you no longer, even though you might be the best care provider in the world, you may no longer be on the top of the list. So therefore, the key is ask them. So make it easy for them. Even create the conversation, appreciate them, right? For example, oh, I love, talk about how much you appreciate their pet, which obviously many people in the profession don't only got in because they love pets, right? So show the love for your pet and talk about, what a great experience having the client and the pet in the practice. Now, what would the other person do? They will say the same thing towards you. They're like, you guys are the best, and you changed my life. Whatever they're going to say, let them speak, give them that voice. And at the end of that conversation, say something like, thank you so very much for sharing what you shared. This means so much to us. We would love to have more, we would love to help more pets and pet owners like yourself. Can I ask you for a tiny favor? Of course. You know what? Here is the QR card, the card that you mentioned. Can you just scan it and it'll take us directly to our Google page and just share some of the things you just told me? Because that way others who are like you can also discover us. You're giving them a mission, a purpose. Like, now they are helping others in similar situations. So now it's no longer about what's good. I'm doing it for you. I'm rather doing it to help people like myself, which we all like to do, right? 2 minutes of our time to make a difference, we'll do it. But the key is you have to incorporate it as part of your routine. So it becomes like second nature, almost like, you're teaching your pet owners to brush the teeth, if you're a veterinarian, and how to do it properly, and, the frequency and everything else. Same thing here. You kind of need to train your team on how to do this consistently, day in and day out. To me, like, reviews is like brushing your teeth. I mean, can you imagine a person in 2024 who doesn't brush their teeth when they get up in the morning? Kind of the same thing. It just becomes part of who we are.
I love it. You actually reminded me of a story. We were in Hermanus once for a holiday, and I had the most unbelievable stomach ache, like really, really bad. And my father-in-law is actually a doctor, and he's an anesthetist. And so we just phoned him and we said, listen, this is what's happening, this is what I'm feeling. And he was like, push here. And then he was like, I'm really concerned that you might have like an ectopic pregnancy. So do you think you could be pregnant? And I was like, well, I suppose I could be, but like, I don't know. Anyway, so he's like, you need to go to a good doctor. That's what he says to me. And I remember we hadn't gone to a doctor in Hermanus. Like I'd never needed, like we've got a little place there, but we've never really needed to go see somebody. The only person I'd ever taken one of the kids to was a pediatrician, which I obviously couldn't go see. And I did exactly what you said. I actually went onto Google and I said to my husband, right, this person has the most reviews and the highest review. I'm phoning them and that's who I'm going to see. Like, and he said, you need a good doctor. All right. I was like, okay, well, that's the one. And it's actually not something that I often do, actually, like for doctors or, people, like for me, if I'm going to go see somebody, I'll usually ask like family for a recommendation, but in those instances where you suddenly just need someone and maybe none of your family knows of that person, then I suppose Google would be the one. So I want
And
to
I think
chat to
you bring up a good point. As a doctor, you probably know a lot of doctors, right? They are your patients, they are your colleagues. You are a doctor, you're one of them, you are an insider. It's like, if you drive by a certain street, usually the best homes are owned by contractors because they know, how to build homes that are like amazing, right? Because they have the relationships, they know everything, right? So unlike you, the average person, unless they are also a doctor, which only 1% of you are doctors, won't know the right doctor, So the only thing they're going to rely on is Google, because Google will have reviews from 150 people. So it's like, and you'll give it to them in 2 seconds. So like working on it proactively, building those reviews, I think is a very, very smart use of your time.
When we're looking at reviews, is Facebook reviews similar to Google, or would you put Google as the top, the most?
Yeah, I think if you asked me the same question in 2018, 2019, 2020, like I might have given you slightly different answers. But in 2024 and beyond, looking forward, Google owns that space, right? I mean, like anytime we think of reviews, we think of Google. Why? Because Google has a 93% market share, in English speaking countries. I mean, literally they dominate. So today, like anytime we have a question, whether it's, who is the second president of South Africa? I mean, you're from South Africa, or the wife of, Eisenhower, who was a former president. Google will tell you. It's like the answer engine. It's like that genie in our head that can answer anything we want. So similarly, we have been asking Google questions about things we need, as well as, researching people, like in this case, practices. So it has become the default. So I would put 90% of the effort on Google. And you touched on social media. Social media has its place, which is all about, just like the word suggests, social. It's about, it's like, think of, you are good at, mingling with people and going to a cocktail, and like everybody, you are the, the talk of the town. You crack jokes and you have good content to share, and everybody kind of gathers around you and listens to you speak, right? So that social media is kind of like that. If you have that personality of like putting yourself out there, it's an awesome medium. But both Google and social media companies need to make money, and they don't make money by giving you free anything. But they can't exist without those organic stuff. So in the case of social media, like 1% of doctors get all the benefit, meaning 1% of practice owners, because they are the social butterflies. They are the ones that everybody gathers around and listens, right? So there are those people, and in my experience, it's around 1% of you. And when it comes to reviews, everyone can do it. So I would say in veterinary medicine, like the most sophisticated practices, almost 50-60% of them have a good profile with good reviews, hundreds of reviews and so forth. Now, when it comes to search engine optimization, which is somebody's looking for a particular keyword, let's say veterinary rehab Chicago or veterinary rehab therapist Chicago, whatever that their need is, that's totally different. That's called SEO. There are 5% of you will get all the free traffic. Just like in social media, 1% get all the free traffic. Here, 5% of you will get all the free traffic. So like anything else, the key is how do you get into that top and stay there? So that's the challenge.
You're talking about that SEO, is that like the back end side, like, putting keywords into your website? And, how effective is that? I know a lot of people talk about it, but it's quite a long-term strategy, right? Like you can spend a lot of time and still not get anywhere with it.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. SEO is not easy. It's really hard. Like we have been doing it for 17 years, and that's kind of the primary focus of what we do. The good news about SEO is it has the best ROI compared to anything else. Like, for example, the same client who comes through Google Ads would cost 5 times more than the same client coming through SEO. So definitely, SEO is really, really, really cost effective, but you have to be patient. I mean, it'll take a year, and then you need to know what you're doing. And unfortunately, everybody claims they can do SEO, but many of them are not good at it. And the reason is SEO is really, really hard, and you need a large team. So in our case, we have 260 people, and we only work with like 500 doctors. So we put a lot of effort, like 500 hours in the first year towards somebody's SEO. So if you do the things Google is telling you, then SEO can be mastered. And you have arrived once you're ranking for 100 keywords or more on page one, meaning when the keyword could be, vet, rehab, therapist, zip code, or city name, or whatever that they're looking for. If you show up in the top 10, that means now you have one keyword you're ranking for in the top 10. Similarly, you need to rank for at least 100 keywords. And the reason Google makes it so hard is because they make so much money by showing ads. Like Google made $230 billion, right? I think there's only like 50 countries in the world that made more money than Google did. I mean, talking about entire countries. 150 countries make less money than what Google did because Google is so profitable. So obviously, if I'm the CEO of such a profitable company, I want to keep the number of people who get free traffic as little as possible. And I want to maximize the number of people who have to pay to see things. So that's where Google Ads come in. Now, Google Reviews, on the other hand, is a quick hack. You may not rank for specific keywords, but at least you will show up more often than not if you have hundreds and hundreds of reviews, and they're all like, or many of them are paragraph reviews, because some of those paragraphs will have certain keywords, and especially for Google Maps product, those keywords will help you rank, more so than not having those keywords.
So, but it's important that they have a Google My Business account, right? So, and that's something that's super easy to set up. So, I mean, like I think about the average vet rehab therapist. First of all, they don't have the budget to pay a whole SEO team to be doing SEO on their website. So they got to think like clever now. They might have a budget, and I think a lot of them do put a budget towards Google Ads. So they tend towards, I'm going to just put the money into this instead of putting the money into the SEO, because that's the long game and I don't know whether it's going to pay off. But just having a Google My Business account just means that if somebody is searching for what you do in your area, you will come up, right, on that first page.
Absolutely. So the key is, having a Google My Business account is key, but Google doesn't make things easy for you, because anytime you don't pay Google money, they don't make your life easy. They make it really hard. So you need to like really, really, really pay attention to it. What I mean is there's this thing called NAB consistency, where your name, address, and phone number must be consistent across hundreds of profiles. So one of the things that, if you are big enough and you can afford a marketing team behind you, you should insist on is, somebody managing your NAB across all these profiles, including Google. So even if there's an extra comma or a full stop in one profile that's not there in some other profile with regards to your name or address, then you might get penalized. But I do agree, at the very minimum, have a good Google My Business page. And most importantly, try to get 10 reviews a month. That's the number that I kind of think is a sweet spot. Every month, you have to try to get 10 reviews a month. And to do that, if you can do it as the owner and by asking the patients when they're happy, go for it. If not, get your team involved, make it fun for them, almost gamify it. And of course, when you hit those 10 reviews a month mark, you can celebrate. Now, of course, if you're a much bigger practice, then you might be 15 a month or 20 a month. So I'm trying to set reasonable goals that pretty much anybody can accomplish. And then you can calibrate it based on, what your capabilities are. So don't start with the big goal, start with the small goal, and then calibrate upwards as needed.
Yeah, and they're so cumulative. If you're doing 10 a month, right, that's 100.
Exactly.
Within a year, you're up there as the top one. So I love that. That's great
Exactly.
advice. Are there any other online directories that, that vet rehab therapists should be on, or is it mainly Google My Business that they should be considering?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a strong marketing team, I would just stick to Google My Business, because you won't have like we manage profiles for like 70 different online directories for some of our clients who have been with us for several years. Obviously, that's a dedicated person every single week working on it, working on it, working on it. Managing is not easy because what happens is many of these profiles will make a change to your profile for all kinds of reasons. Remember, like there are hundreds or millions or tens of millions of businesses out there. So they can't have people manually doing all the work. So they use computer programs, and computer programs are dumb and stupid. So a lot of times they make mistakes. They'll create a duplicate listing for you. They will, change your information without asking because they do a database update and it goes and wipes out all the correct information. You might lose reviews. You might have a negative review you have to deal with. So instead of trying to do 10 things poorly, I would put all my attention into Google and just focus on it. But if you do have a marketing company, make sure they are going to be managing your NAP. Make sure like there are 6 things that's important for SEO, which is you ranking for specific search phrases, and NAP is one of them. The others are original content, quality backlinks, Google Lighthouse Score, Google Eat, and obviously reviews. So there are 6 areas you need to take care of. So you need to make sure that if you are going down that SEO route, these 6 things are worked on. And the bottom line is, can they get you to rank for 100 or more keywords within 12 months? If they cannot, or if they have done that dozen other times or more, then obviously don't waste your time, because there are a lot of people who will claim they can do it, but then they can't. So do your reference checks, go look at the stats and the reports to make sure that you're picking companies that have a track record of doing the things to help you dominate and be in that 5% of practices that are getting 95% of the free traffic.
Do you think, as a vet rehab therapist, do you think it's different for them in the way that they sort of build their online reputation compared to normal veterinary practices?
I don't think so, because we have worked with some large veterinary. Actually, there's one particular person I'm thinking of in Los Angeles, and at the end of the day, customers want the same thing. They want somebody they can trust, right? Whether it's a nice meal or whether it's a safe place for my child or for my pet, they just want that. So these reviews where you have hundreds of people saying you are amazing and give you 4 or 5 stars and write sentences or paragraph explaining why they gave you that rating, shows these people that they can trust you, right? So psychologically, humans don't behave differently with their pets versus their kids. I mean, pets are kids for most people. So pretty much the way they make a decision on a pediatrician is how they are making a decision on pet care. I mean, I have a Sheltie and he's 11 years old, and recently he had some complications, and eventually we found out he has Cushing's disease. So we didn't know who to go to because our vet couldn't help us, and he's like, I don't know, like, what's going on. So we had to do our own research, try 3 different places, and then found the right one. And we used the internet, or at least my wife used the internet to make that decisions, right? Because there's nobody else to go to. Like, I mean, she's not a vet. She doesn't know what's going on. So if our vet didn't know what's going on, then obviously we are like now left to our own devices. And so I do think the way people make choices, whether it's a complication like we had with our pet Merlin, or whether it's a young puppy or, same thing with veterinary rehab, right? Something seriously has happened to the pet and they need some serious help. They're going through the same tools.
One of the things we really struggle with, and it's not so bad now, but let me tell you, 15 years ago when I opened up my practice, the field of veterinary rehabilitation is quite a new one. So you come across a lot of people that actually don't really know what you do, so it's a lot more mainstream now. A lot of people that, because like veterinary rehabilitation, veterinary physiotherapy, those are the similar terms, right? So that's basically what we're doing, is physiotherapy on animals. Do you have any advice on like how vet rehab therapists could like improve their online presence by educating online? Because I think this is something that we really need to do, is to create this awareness of actually what we do.
Yeah, I know what we all need to do, but I know what actually happens. So reviews, I find everyone can get behind, because that's how we function. We look at reviews when we make decisions. So like in the beginning there'll be resistance. Oh, my clients are different, they're old or whatever, they want to write reviews. But once you get over the hump and start getting that first month with 10 reviews, people get used to it. But when it comes to social media, my experience is there are 2 types. There are those influencer types. they don't mind putting themselves out there. They don't mind dedicating themselves to be content creators, right? It's almost like you went to school to do one thing, which is take care of pets, but now you have to learn something else. And the tricky part with social media and content creation is you can't outsource it, because people don't like companies, they like people. So who is that person they're going to like? Who's that face they're going to fall in love with? And through that face, they're going to fall in love with the business. So you need that face. So if you are in that group of people, and typically in my experience among anybody in healthcare, doctors, etc., typically it's 1%. So if you are in that 1%, lean in. But if you're not in it, either try to become, like, in other words, say, hey, I have to do this, there's no other choice. If I don't, I'm going to be in trouble. And some people can do it, and I think, but my experience is still 95% of doctors, or 99% of them, don't want to do it. So in that case, I think be self-aware. I guess what I'm trying to say is getting into the top 1% is not easy. So if you're going to go all in, give yourself 2 to 3 years, give yourself 10 hours a week to post, 1 to 2 times a day, mostly video type content with pets and so forth, put yourself out there and really become that 1% influencer class. But if that's not you, like, sometimes, like, I cannot be a doctor, right? Because like chemistry, my brain doesn't work with chemistry. So I realized that early on, in grade 10 or something. And I'm like, I can't do this. Biology, it's just Greek to me. Give me math, give me science. Like, it's just easy for me, right? So self-awareness is important. So if that's not you, I wouldn't try to, like, make you that, because it's just not you. Like, if you are not that person who likes to put yourself out there and be a content creator, like almost like a side hustle, then I would say focus on reviews, have an Instagram page or a Facebook page where you post once or twice, just basic, pictures of pets and, stories you have of what has done. Make it almost like a routine. So I'm going to, or somebody in my team is going to spend 2 hours a week doing 1 or 2 of these posts. And here are the types of posts that's acceptable. And just like a machine, just crank them out, 1 or 2 posts a week. So you have a presence, but don't waste your time, because if you're not in that 1%, you're not going to get the 99% of the free traffic. So what's the point of, like, putting so much time to get 10 people to see something? And those 10 people may not even need you, because remember, social media is usually it replaced the remote, right? In the old days, you come home from work, you're really tired, you sit in front of the TV and you flip through the remote. Now flipping through Instagram or TikTok is exactly the same thing. You're tired, we're just trying to put our brain on freeze, and we just keep flipping through some stuff. So you need massive numbers for it to make a difference, because social media will go to everybody in the world, not just locally, right? It's the way the algorithms work. So what they're doing is they're studying people, and if I like cat videos, for example, they'll keep showing me more cat videos, because they know by doing that, I'll keep watching more and more of Instagram or TikTok. Whatever that I'm into, they'll keep showing me more of that. So it's no longer based on likes and who's following you. That's all gone. It's all about, what kind of content you like, and then who are the influencers who create that kind of content, and like matching it. So it's almost like TV that's self-aware. Imagine the TV knows the person sitting in front of it, and it keeps showing the shows or things that that person wants to watch. That's the world we live in. It's all AI driven. It's all like customized based on each of us. So that's my 2 cents for, anybody who's in this. Like, if you're into it, do it. If not, you do the bare minimum and then focus on reviews every month.
Yeah, I love that. There's a term, which is quite a new term, called faceless marketing. I mean, do you think this is something that we can do in a service-based business?
I don't think so. I mean, help me understand. I haven't heard of this particular term.
Faceless marketing is basically like social media without showing your face, or using like stock videos, I guess. So like there are a lot of people that have this fear of being on social media, and they don't want their faces to be shown, and they're trying to hide from the social media. They want to grow their businesses and they want to build a following, but they don't want it to be around them. They have this fear of that. And so, yeah, so there's this thing called faceless marketing now. And there are loads of people that do it. A lot of it I see is selling like product. So selling different products. They might, have a shop where they sell furniture and things like that, or little ornaments and things. And, so that's what I'm saying. I think it's the kind of thing where if you've got a product, you could do it. But a service-based business where we so rely on human connection and a relationship, that's the question. Do you think it's possible to
Yeah, I agree with
without
you
showing face?
because I totally agree with you. I mean, the products you're describing, usually they're limited edition. So you're making a certain dress, only 100 of them, and you have 1 million followers, then you put it out, and it doesn't matter who's selling it. The fact that there's only 100 of them to go around creates demand, right? It's called scarcity. We want things we cannot have. Pet health is not like that. You can't say, oh, well, I'll only treat 1 out of 10 people who want to take care of my pets. Everybody in veterinary medicine, even when the client can't afford it, you guys will go out of your way to take care of the pet, right? So you can't use scarcity. And like you said, it's also really, really, really personal. So at the end of the day, they have to like and trust you, the provider, the owner of that particular business. So I don't believe at all, you can do that. And also you have to understand, um, products are based on what people want. And like you said, most people don't want their faces out there. So some smart marketing people coin this term faceless marketing, I guess, and say, hey, we have something for you. Obviously, it won't work, but by the time you figure out it doesn't work, you've already spent the thousands of dollars buying their training or their courses or whatever else, because it tells you what you want to hear, right? I mean, it's like, what's the phrase? If something is too good to be true, it is too good to be true. I think it's
Yeah.
one of those things. So I wouldn't see, this is what I see happening a lot. People want social media, but they're not willing to become an influencer. So they chase their tails and chase their tails and chase their tails and chase their tails. And 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, all this time and effort and money spent, paying this company and that company and this guy and that guy and this product and that product to kind of make social media work without you becoming an influencer, it doesn't work. So that's what I'm saying. Be self-aware. Like, if you can't, like I couldn't be a doctor. I just realized that pretty early on. I didn't waste 10 years of my time trying to be a doctor when I know I can't, I'm not good at it. Those subjects don't excite me. Those subjects, don't get me up, up and excited. So just be self-aware. If you love it, I mean, like I said, 1% of you will love it. You love being in front of the camera. Like it's, sometimes I know even some of the younger people, not everyone, but there was one girl who came to our house, 6 years ago, and it's my oldest daughter's friend. I think they were in middle school at the time, and she was taking selfies and this and that, like it's just crazy. There are those people who love that stuff. If that's you, you will know it, you love this stuff. If it's not you, I don't know if I would lean too much into it.
Yeah. One of the things that's great about the field that we're in is that the transformations that we have can be really like unbelievable. We
Yeah.
can have a dog that is dragging its back legs and can't walk, and 2 weeks later it's running.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel about like sharing those kind of cases on social media? Can you give us any sort
Yeah.
of thoughts about that? Because I mean, I see these videos, as a vet rehab therapist myself, and I'll just be like, oh wow, like they'll amaze me, as I look at them. And I think if it's amazing me who's a vet rehab therapist and actually knows that this is possible, imagine what pet owners must think.
Yeah, 100%. So I love those cases, and you can, do it as a write-up, like a blog post, right? With pictures and, like story explaining it, or it could be a video where you take clips, when they first came versus, down the, in the middle and then at the end and so forth, and, make it all into a nice video. Of course, it'll take time, maybe 6, 8, 10 hours of video and maybe 6 months of work. I would definitely put it on your website, because social media as real estate you don't own. Imagine building a house in somebody else's land, right? That person can change the rules, put a fence and say, oops, you can't, no benefit is going to come out of this. So definitely post it, but definitely like remember that you're going to get a lot of traffic the minute you post and then nothing. So make sure you have a section on your website to highlight these cases and showcase these cases, because as you start building your profile through reviews and through SEO and whatever else you are doing, your website is your real estate. Nobody can take it away from you. It is yours. So it'll work for you 24/7, 7 days a week, and you control it completely. So, make sure it's optimized for mobile devices, make sure it's optimized for desktop. I'm not saying don't post it on social media, but I'm saying use website as the main place where these things live forever. So like you should have a section that continues to grow with these types of cases. I know the first one might be the hardest because you've never done it and you might be overthinking it. Like the other thing you have to understand is social media is kind of, or even like video marketing is kind of like reality TV, meaning it's not produced well much, it's not perfect, it's just a lot of imperfections, and that's what people want. They want real stories. Just like, Survivor became the #1 show, this is pre-internet because it was, it was reality TV. The same thing here, right? Because it's reality, people are going to gravitate towards it and they're going to share it. And if they have us, like, because these are awesome stories, right? A small cute puppy couldn't walk, or a cute dog couldn't walk, and now can run and do all kinds of things. I mean, that touches us as human beings. So those kinds of stories, if you can like get it out there and tell those stories. So you are not really talking about, look at me, I have all these degrees and qualifications and blah, 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 but rather it's the stories do the talking. It's those examples do the talking. So I'm definitely for it.
Love it. What are some of the challenges that veterinary therapists could face with managing their online presence? Like one of the things I'm thinking is, we've been chatting about reviews and it's bad reviews.
Yeah. Bad reviews, is just the part of the game. You can't avoid them, because, a lot of times in my experience, having done this for 17 years, a lot of times the people who are writing bad reviews might be disgruntled employee, might be the competition down the street who doesn't do as well of a job as you do. And that person is doing anything and everything they can to kind of hurt you. So in the hope that it would benefit them. So a lot of these are, not even real reviews. So what we do for our clients, for example, is we know the Google's terms and conditions. So we know that by heart. We have an entire team dedicated. So we would reach out to them and say, hey, it violates, section number 3.56. Can you take a look at it? For example, somebody's, yelling at you, or, like, or their profile looks really suspicious, where they're just a brand new profile and the only thing, or one of the two things that exist is, review about you, and that doesn't look like a real person. So there are all kinds of reasons we can like get that thrown out. Almost like, think of it like in the legal sense, some cases are thrown out on technicality, right? Like it's just some technical point they didn't follow it, therefore the case is thrown out. Same way we can get it thrown out. Just need to know what they are. But then again, if it's a real review, it can't be thrown out because it doesn't violate Google's standards. Then obviously, you have to just take it. You can't let it affect you emotionally. What I mean is, by the way, we respond on behalf of our clients to all reviews. So every positive reviews, we'll say something like, "Thank you so much for sharing this, and we really appreciate what you said, and you and your pet." And again, we can and then we like acknowledge and appreciate them. If it's a negative review, we would work with the doctor because we want to know what the story is. But usually, what I recommend for negative reviews is, don't try to find it. Say something like, "I'm really sorry you had this experience. Please call my office or call this number and speak to so and so, and I'll try to see what I can do to sort it out." Like, don't try to argue with them. Don't try to make them wrong, because that can really get out of control. And now, usually, if you make somebody mad, they might create 7 profiles and write 7 nasty reviews for you. And sometimes, if it means losing a little bit of money because somebody's really upset and felt they have been wrong, you may have to just do it if that's cheaper than fighting and all the negative publicity it causes. But at the same time, keep in mind, like, we all know you can't make everyone happy all the time, right? So if there are few negative reviews among hundreds of positive reviews, that's okay. So it's okay to have negative reviews. So don't let it bring you down. Respond to it positively and just keep moving on. And but the way I think about it is, the best defense is the best offense. So instead of worrying about the negative review, focus your energies on getting that 10 reviews a month, the positive reviews a month, because you're asking people, so those people all love you anyways. So you're going to keep collecting those positive reviews. So keep going on the offense every day, every week, all in.
Yeah, because if you've got like 4 bad reviews, but you've got 100 good reviews, then those bad reviews seem like nothing. But I must say, for me, if I'm looking on Google, I always go read the bad reviews. And I always look at how they respond. I always look at how the company responds to those. And if they respond like with integrity and, they acknowledge the person and how they're feeling and, try and see if they can help them, then right away I'm like, well, that means nothing. That,
Yeah.
and I know, like, and like sometimes just because somebody had a bad day and they decided to take it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Naren, if there's one piece of advice you could give to a vet rehab therapist who's just starting to focus their online reputation, what would it be?
Yeah, 10 reviews a month. Like, of course, if you want to start at 5 because you're going from 0, that's fine. But eventually get to 10 a month and stay there. And come up with the methodology, the process. We talked about QR codes, make it easy. We talked about some language. We talked about getting your team involved. And that's my Merlin in the background. I'm not sure if you can hear him. He's getting
I
excited
can't.
about something.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you could also put in an email that's automated, right? When somebody comes, like that very day that they get thanks for coming, they could have some automated things in it, and in there could be a link to a review. You can put it at the bottom of a newsletter. I tell you what's really nice, and I actually have given this advice to other people, is to actually, if you showcase your reviews, and you don't need to like publicize this. What do you think about this? Like, so if you're like in a newsletter, you like show one of your reviews, and then that person, you could give them something, you know what I mean, for doing that review. And you're not saying if you do a review, I'll give you something for free. You're just like show the picture of them with something, whatever. It might incentivize people to do a review. They think, oh, I also want to feel good. I also want to be like in the newsletter, as part of that community. But I think definitely showing other reviews. So even if it's just a screenshot or whatever of reviews of people even, and just say, thank you, highlight that person. You don't even have to give them anything. Just say, thank you so much for that amazing review. It makes such a world of difference to us. That shows other people are doing it. Then they'll be like, oh, I really like them and they've done so much for me and my pets. I'm going to do it too.
You are 100% right. So we use graphics. So for example, we can take even a Google review and we'll say, as seen on Google, we'll put the person's first name and literally copy the review and then say, thank you, Megan, for this kind words. And that might be included in your newsletter. That could actually go on your social media post, right? So every few days there's some kind of review. So that's one tip. The second tip could be take a picture, so maybe create a ruse, an excuse, like for example, pet of the month, right? So every month or every week you pick a pet and along with that pet, you write a small story, this like as a rehab, like what happened and so forth. And you can tell the pet owner, maybe give them a t-shirt, hey, pet of the month, and like give a nice t-shirt or maybe or maybe give them a gift certificate or some toys for the pet. Then you take a picture with you as a practice owner or somebody in the practice along with, and again, have a person whose face that's going to be branded for your practice. So that particular individual is hopefully the owner, plus the pet owner, plus the pet, and just feature it every month or every week, however frequently. Now it becomes automatic things you keep doing every week. Yeah. Maybe the gift might cost you $50, $30. If you're doing it once a month, that's $30 a month, nothing. But the amount of conversations it creates, amount of viral marketing it creates, and obviously we all like to show off, right? So what happens when we post the same thing on Instagram and you tag the pet owner, he's going to, say, thank you so much. This meant a lot, John or Johnny, the pet, had an awesome time, enjoying the treat or whatever. He's going to say, now all their friends are like, oh, they're going to click on it. They're going to comment on it. They're like, who is this person? What a nice person. Maybe it's a story of, this particular pet who couldn't walk now can just do all kinds of things and back to normal again, So now that really gets, marketed, and then you can also continue to remarket it. You can have your own team members tag it and comment on it, and it, really get the word out. You might even have some co-group of let's call it partners. So let's say there are 20 people you work a lot with, and you tag that, you support them, they support you. So anytime they do something, you are like tagging and commenting, and anytime you are doing something, you can like tag them and they'll definitely jump in and comment. So so there's all kinds of things you can do.
Love it. Naren, thank you so much. It's been awesome chatting to you about this. We could have chatted for ages and ages and ages, and I see we're running over time already. So thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Megan, Dr. Kelly, for having me. And if anyone wants to reach me, One way to reach me is go to our website, www.equa.com. That's our marketing company, ekwa.com, and you have contact information. And if you want any marketing help or you want us to review your marketing and give you some feedback, we'd love to do that as well. So you can book a marketing strategy meeting with our team by going to veterinarybusinessinstitute.com/MSM for marketing strategy meetings. So a couple of ways to reach us.
We'll put all those links in the podcast description notes for the listeners. Thanks, Naren. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Curacao Vet. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free, so please go and check them out at curacao.org. Please also don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit. It's on Saturday, the 8th of November in 2025. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Onlinepethealth members, you get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.